Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to talk a bit about panning. And I've done a video before on panning, and if you do a search on YouTube, you're going to see lots of videos on panning. But I guess I've been enlightened lately on a technique, and it's not a new technique, called LCR panning, which basically stands for left, center, right. Watching videos from Graham Cochran from Recording Revolution, and also listening to a recent podcast from Home Recording Weekly, Kern over there at Home Recording Weekly. I started to realize that this concept makes a whole lot of sense, especially with music that tends to have fairly aggressive guitars, distorted guitars, etc. It just really, what it does is basically cleans out the middle, or keeps the middle clear for the important parts of your music, which is generally your kick, bass, snare, and lead vocals, which are really what drive the song and what people listen to in the song. Everything else is pretty much accompaniment, if you will. But in any event, I started to really go back and take a look at some of the mixes I've done, and noticed, like through osmosis, I guess, that I tend to use LCR for most of the music I did. But when I got into stuff that was less volume, I tended to try to use more of the stereo spectrum, and I'm not sure that's the best thing to do, to be honest with you, after going back and experimenting. And what I wanted to do today was put together a brief experiment to show you the differences between using the traditional stereo spectrum panning, in other words, strategically organizing each one of your instruments so that they take up a piece of the spectrum from 0 to 100 left and 0 to 100 right, and compare that to actually just doing three types of panning: hard left, right in the center, or hard right. And I think you're going to notice a difference. At least I did, and I think it just makes the music sound clearer, wider, broader, for my ear. Now, this isn't going to be perfect for every song that you mix. If you have, let's say, a track that's got a single vocal and an acoustic, this might not be the best way to do it. You may not want to hard pan the vocal left, or keep the vocal center and hard pan the acoustic right. Maybe if the acoustic was stereo and you had a left and right, you had two tracks, you could do that, and that would sound pretty full. But if it's a single mono acoustic track, in that case, you probably want to have both pretty close to the center. But in the case where, like this one I'm going to show you here, where you've got multiple instruments, it seems to really make a lot of sense. Now, I'm not a believer yet that for vocals and background vocals that you want to pan those completely left and right. I think those you want to use that center spectrum, if you will, and sort of pan the vocals around the lead vocal. Remember, my philosophy, and most people's philosophy, especially the two gentlemen that mentioned before, is that everything works around the vocal, and you sort of build the song around that. So I think that, keeping that in mind, that's what we're trying to accomplish here. So let's get to the experiment. This is a song that my son wrote. We recorded probably about a year ago. He has it on one of his EPs. It's been, done. And we really liked the way it sounded. But when I went back and experimented this before I put this video together, I really liked what I heard when I did LCR on it. So as you can see here, we've got multiple drum tracks, okay, tambourine, acoustic, layered acoustic, actually, two layered rhythm acoustic tracks, then another one comes in. We've got some strings, and we've got a grand piano. So it's not an overly complicated piece of music, but there's a considerable amount of tracks here. So let's give a listen to how I traditionally have it set up, and you can take a look at the panning here. I've got the Tams tambourine is left 40 and right 40. They're two separate tracks. And the acoustics are left 50, right 50. This one's left 40, right 40. And this one's left 60, right 60. So I actually believed at the time that 10 percentages, I guess is how it's done, in difference between those three instruments would make a difference in how they were layered. Okay? I'm not sure that's the case. And then I've got bass in the center. I had the grand piano right about 19 or 20. Left strings, these are stereo strings, so I had them in the center. And then the vocals, I had the lead vocal in the center. Backing tracks are separated across the spectrum. Two of them are left 70 and right 70, and the other one is right 30, which is just a quick vocal that you'll hear it when it comes in. So anyway, let's give this a listen to the way I had it panned before.
Don't you worry, it will soon turn up. You gotta make it what it means. Live alone and dream. Live alone the life. Live alone the fairy tales and wonders left behind. Live alone the lights. Live alone the Christ. Live alone the broken hearted tears of mid-July. Live alone dream. Live alone extreme.
Okay, so that's how I had it panned before. Now what I'm going to do here is, through the magic of video, I'm going to quickly repan this using LCR. You'll speed this up, but you'll see what I'm doing here. So let me do that here. Okay, so all I did was I changed the tambourine, the acoustics. See, I hard panned them left and right. And I changed the studio grand piano right. I left the strings centered, and I left the background vocals as they were. Now, we could get into the drums. I mean, we could probably change this around a bit. I have a kick and a snare in the center. Crashes are out left and right. A 50. I probably want to keep that contained in there, but I've heard differing opinions on the toms and stuff, moving the toms out too. That might be another thing that we might want to do, but let's stick with the instruments for now. So after that panning, let's give this a listen.
Don't you worry, it will soon turn up. You gotta make it what it means. Live alone and dream. Live alone the life. Live alone the fairy tales and wonders left behind. Live alone the lights. Live alone the Christ. Live alone the broken hearted tears of mid-July. Live alone dream. Live alone extreme. Live alone the lonely.
Hopefully you can hear the difference there. I certainly did when I listened to it. Let me just give you, I'm going to play this again for you real quick so you can hear it. I'm going to play the first like 10 seconds of the original panning and then the LCR. So here it is.
Don't you worry, it will soon turn up. You gotta make it what it means. Live alone and dream. Live alone the life. Don't you worry, it will soon turn up. You gotta make it what it means. Live alone and dream. Live alone the life.
All right, so hopefully you could really hear there the difference in the panning. You may want to try like taking one of your earbuds off or taking one of the headphones off, and you can hear which is in which ear. This is not maybe a dynamic or a dramatic experiment, but from what my take on this is that by moving the acoustics, the acoustic and the tambourine way out left and right, it cleared in the field for the most important part of the song, which really is the vocal, right? and the vocals. So hopefully this is a good example. Again, this is not something that that's set in stone. Mixing is not set in stone. It's really an art, right? Making the music is an art, and making the music sound great is an art. That's the way I like to think about it. This may not work for you. You may not like it, but I can tell you that if you listen to music like the Foo Fighters and Green Day and a lot of modern bands, they all pretty much use this type of technique. There's some variances, but generally, especially with the rhythm guitars and piano and stuff like that, they're basically pushed way out to the left and right. So give a listen to especially the Foo Fighters "Wasting Light" CD. You listen to a couple of those songs, you'll really hear it. If you really pay attention to it, you really hear it. So I hope this was helpful. Hey, try it out. Let me leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Again, I didn't invent this. This was something I picked up from the folks that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. But to do some research, I know there was actually a guy at Berklee School of Music who actually discovered this, or did a paper on it or something. You may want to do some Google searches on that and check it out. But hey, try it out. See what you think. Hope this was helpful. Please comment, and hope you subscribe. And thanks for watching.